This meeting of the Sedona Fire District Governing Board is now called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In a moment of silence for our first responders, our firefighters and police officers who passed since the last meeting.
Let's take a moment to remember the 5 firefighters and 6 police officers.
Thank you.
Chair,
Present.
Corey Cooperman, clerk.
Present.
Diana Christensen, member. Here. Scott Springett, member.
Here.
Lance Waldrop, member.
Here.
Ms. Illis, do we have some awards and staff report?
We have some recognition this evening. And this is gonna ramp up. If you see the scroll, you'll see our anniversaries. August is a hot month for hiring, and I think there's 12.5 people that are having their anniversary this month. So it's a big month. But tonight we're recognizing 2 of our firefighters who have hit the 10-year mark, and one of those is Nick Granata, hired in August of 2016 and received his paramedic in 2019, and he's got an associate's degree from Coconino Community College. We stole Nick from the Forest Service, and he's been an asset for our out-of-district deployments, and has gotten involved with a lot of different district programs, and really excited for him. He's been a great person to have here. And then we've got Richard Wynn, who we call Reggie. There's a story behind that for another day, but again, hired in August of 2016. He went to and got his paramedic in 2019 as well. He's got an associate's degree in emergency response, and is a Navy veteran. He was an aviation maintenance administration technician in the U.S. Navy, and again, another great paramedic, really involved with the district, does a lot of great stuff for us. And these guys kind of represent one of our sweet spots right now. They both came in with some relative outside of SFD experience, and then they've now seasoned themselves at SFD. And this is the group that's going to be our next captains and getting into doing that stuff, because that kind of at the 10-year point, you sometimes feel like you know what you're doing finally, and you start to get to the point where you're looking at other things, and really excited for them. They're great mentors to our new firefighters, and just doing a great job. And as stated, they will be receiving their 10-year pin. I'll deliver them to them at their stations next time they're on shift.
Great, thank you. Well, in case they happen to listen to the recording, on behalf of the board, Nicholas and Reggie, we want to thank you for your service to Sedona Fire and to the people of Sedona. We know that you do great work, and we are deeply appreciative. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing you here when you hit your 20 years. We may not be here, but you will be here. Okay. Chief, do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
We do not.
Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda for discussion and possible action to approve the July 21st, 2026 Governing Board regular meeting minutes and the July 21st, 2026 Governing Board executive session meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve them?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I would like to say that the minutes are just looking very good, very representative of what is discussed here in a concise, informative way.
Second that. Very good.
Yeah, you have fans. Okay. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. We've approved the consent agenda. Chief Missoula's over to you for the monthly staff reports. Oh, sorry, financial report.
Yes, Gabe gets his.
God, sorry, Gabe.
I mean, I could go. Executive as well.
Approve them both as the consent agenda. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. You guys have the July financial report in the packet. July's a little light, obviously it's the first month of the fiscal year. So total revenue came in at 459,284. That was over what we had budgeted by $36,000. You'll see tax collection was right at what we've kind of collected from a percentage basis historically, right at, $88 variance to the positive there. Non-levy revenue was at 388,000. That was over budget by 36,000. Both ambulance revenue and interest income were contributors to that positive variance on the non-levy revenue. Looking at expenses, in totality, we spent just over 2.6 million. That was under budget by 35,000. Do have to point out two variances though. Personnel, we had a small variance of about 17,900, predominantly driven by wildland deployment wages, as well as just regular and district overtime. One of the things we're helping Chief Coyle with is kind of an analysis on, overtime versus, starting to hire bodies to replace people, or not replace people, but replace positions. And so, trying to get something to him by the end of the month so we can kind of look at that analysis. The only other one was buildings and land. We did have about a $20,000 variance on that category. That was due to Scott. No. No, we have regular maintenance on all of our AC units and things like that. And so it's just kind of timing on when that expense hit for the regular maintenance on that. So with that, that's kind of the performance overall for the month of July. As far as where we're at on a budget percentage, next slide. We've spent 10% with 90% remaining. And then kind of a breakdown on where we've spent our money this past month. Personnel, highest expense, 82% of our total costs. Managerial was 8%, operations 6%, and communication 4%. And then finally, ended the month with 19.16 million total cash on hand. It's an increase of just under about $1 million year over year. Other assets increasing from 25.8 to 27.5. That's really just kind of our investment in our capital assets that we had over the prior year. And then our total liabilities right now are increasing 33.9 to 34.1 million. And that's really driven by year-end payroll accruals and things like that. But as far as like all of our pension adjustments, things like that, we're still reconciling last year. And so you're going to see some of these cut numbers especially for last year move over these next couple of months as we're kind of closing the books out and getting ready for audit. So unless there's any questions, that's the report for July.
Any questions?
Just as nice to see you in person.
Thank you.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report for July 2026?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial report as stated.
Okay. I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Gabe, it's all approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry to keep skipping over that.
It's fine.
Okay, Chief Missoula's the staff report.
All right, well, Chief Coyle was extended in Oregon. Oregon needs rain. Diana may give us an update on that. Our REM vehicle also is still up there. I think they're heading back in a couple days. Today, they're leaving today to head back. And then BC Miranda's still up there, and I think he's getting extended. It's extended. What that means is typically our assignments are 14-day assignments, but because of the resource draw across the Southwest, it's more rare than it was in the past, but they'll do a 7-day extension and extend it to a 3-week assignment just so they can try to free up resources. And so they may be extending Todd, so we'll see. And so significant events. Well, we saw some post-fire flooding in Oak Creek Canyon and Dry Creek Wash. Created some minor flooding issues out east of town or west of town, but nothing unmanageable. And then there was a lot of social media presence about the discoloration of the creek and the ash, and that's a natural part of post-fire flooding. Is it washes the forest clean, and with that, you know, we did have some circumstances where there was a rise in water, and I just want to commend the relationship our folks have built with the Forest Service, because you know, a lot of the campgrounds in Oak Creek Canyon, if not all of them, are run by concessionaires, and it's their revenue stream. And so there's a want to get those places open back up for the revenue. However, working with the Forest Service and our partnership, we looked at the threats and the hazards, and they worked with us to, you know, push forward some shutdowns that we wanted to see. And then not necessarily that Sedona fire pushed it, but we said, hey, here's the historical flooding averages and what could happen and what may happen. And so worked together to, Coyle wrote a really good piece for the Forest Service to justify our position. And they maintained some restrictions for public safety. So that was pretty cool. And then we had two fires in proximity to the district after the pocket fire, the Turkey fire, and then the other one, the Heart fire. Both of those presumed to be lightning caused, both of those in very remote areas, and primarily managed by further weather, but then they flew a lot of crews into the Turkey fire to get that one knocked out. I think some of you may have seen the aircraft flying about.
Good show.
Yeah, so, and we did support we didn't have any support on the Heart fire. The Turkey fire, we had some water tenders on it for a few hours to help out. And so some of the biggest things, human resources, we've made conditional offers to 4 individuals. And now it's just kind of set it and wait for the process to play out. We've got background checks and uniform sizing and psychological evaluations and all that stuff. So we're waiting. Go through that with a tentative start date of October 19th for the new academy. And then as Gabe stated, Chief Coyle is working with him and Brian Espiau to do an analytical review of where we're at with staffing and overtime, and see if try to determine that trigger point, for lack of a better term, of, hey, we might want to do this. And then excuse me. In administration, somehow Elise is keeping her head above water. We've had some extended contract negotiations with the folks that rent our cellular towers, Verizon and T-Mobile to be specific. We were crossing the finish line with Verizon, and then unbeknownst to us, Verizon restructured the Pacific and the Southwest divisions of their company, and everybody that was pushing our contracts through was no longer with Verizon. So we just restarted. Is that pretty close to accurate?
They resubmitted it for.
Yeah, it's been
review.
resubmitted, even though 5 months of work down the drain. So, yeah, and so more to come on that. And our T-Mobile contract was coming across the finish line, and then I don't know if they got a new attorney or used a different AI product, but they found something else they want to change. And so that's bulk of her time amongst other things. And then Elise and Scott worked to submit the SF 299 form. I'm not going to pretend to know what it is, but it's a request for review for the Forest Service to enter into a lease for property for Station 5. And
Right.
Matt Spinelli and our architect put together a quick kind of schematic of what it would look like for our needs for a station. And if the forest, which they're reviewing it this week, we should know next week if the tentative idea works for them, and then we'll work towards more foundational plans and some drainage reviews. And again, I want to remind the board that this doesn't mean it's speeding up. It's still going to be a 2-year process, because then if this goes well, when this goes well, then we will have to enter into a contract with a NEPA contractor to do the NEPA study and a few other things. And then it'll just, all those things take months at a time. So, but it's a positive direction that we are heading.
But it is progressing, and I think that's the exciting thing.
Yes, exactly. And
Long overdue, yeah.
And Chief, I have a question about that. You know, the leaseholders to our current of the Canyon Station, how are they doing in holding out given this lengthy process? The folks that want us to vacate.
we haven't engaged with them, nor have they requested any updates. So hopes and dreams, Ms. Cooperman. No, I don't mean to be flippant, but honestly, they've been really good partners of the district, and we appreciate their position, but they haven't been heavily engaged about that
Okay,
process.
it's actually good news.
Yeah, so we want to be.
We won't.
Look over there.
Yes.
So, and then this month we had I believe it was through, the grant was through Securus, right, Buzz? The AFMA grant for mental health was through Securus, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was a AFG training.
Okay, so either way, Arizona Fire Medical Authority worked to get a fire district grant for some mental health training. And we just completed it last week. And all of our staff went through it, and there was a piece for support staff, and they went through it this last week. And most of the report backs is it was just really fundamentally good training. It's an individual who retired from an agency down in the valley, had some personal life experiences that were difficult to manage, and then he's built this program organically. The organization he retired from recognized some struggles in their own organization and had heard what he had been going through to heal. And they asked him to put something together, and it's kind of manifested into this thing he does all over the place now. I think it's nationwide, or at least statewide.
Yeah, it's Western US for now.
I'm not trying not to steal your thunder, so.
Totally stole me.
Yeah, but I'll let Buzz dive into it deeper.
But sure, you did a great job.
And for our insurance, our insurer, our operational folks go through annual driver's training in November, but in last month, our administrative non-operational folks went through a defensive driving course. So, and they will all be safer on the road now because of it. or not. And then lastly, as per usual, we got an appraisal, a new appraisal on the property that was approved to go to auction, and have since learned that we needed an Alta certificate, which Alta site survey, didn't know what that was, so we had to Google it and then do that. So that's delaying us getting it on the auction site. But the auction site that we use is public surplus, and then the site we use for our RFQs is public purchase. It's the same company. They fund public purchase off of public surplus, and that's a really popular spot for government auctions for equipment and a lot of land stuff. So we're going to use that. It's already embedded in our website for the sale of the properties. Hopefully next couple of weeks, we'll be able to get that loaded for the parking lot in Uptown.
Are you free to tell us what the amount was of the
I
appraisal?
don't think we've gotten the final. Okay, yeah. No, I'm excited to hear about it too. There was a lot of Alta emails and I had to Google it because I didn't know what that meant. Yeah, it does.
That's
It's a
great.
no cost solution for us. And then the RFQ side, there's no cost because they fund it via their revenue from sales. That kind of dived a little bit into capital updates for me, but it ties, the heavy lifting's been at least in staff doing the appraisal stuff. But that's Coyle's report. I'll turn it over to Kirk if there aren't any questions.
Any questions for the chief? Kirk, you're on.
Good afternoon. CRR is busy as usual for the month of July. We do have an investigation I'll get to after the next slide. And residential inspections, commercial inspections are right about even with last month. Plan reviews on track, about 38 just for the month, and they just don't stop coming in. Did do fire-wise assessments at 7 last month, and this month's been picking up, but I'll talk about that next month. No presentations though, so, but they're coming. So I'll talk about it in fire investigation real quick. This occurred back here. It was a commercial building, 2-story commercial building. Fire alarms went off. Crews got there. There was a fire in the back corner of the unit. There was fire had been put out by the fire sprinkler. So ironically, the fire happened right next to the riser in the back corner where the fire sprinklers put it out. So it burned enough to where it got some stuff on fire, it got to the sprinkler, and the one sprinkler activated, kept it at bay, flooded it pretty good by the time they could get it shut down. Ironically, they had a flood in there a couple of days prior to, and they were airing it out with fans, trying to dry the flooring out. And to the right is what was described as a handheld fan. That's a leaf blower.
Yeah.
That was, can't say for sure unless you send it to a lab for forensics, but that was plugged in the night prior to dry out the floor. So more than likely culprit. But the good news is a 2-story office building was saved by a fire sprinkler.
That's good.
Otherwise, it could have been gone. Fire sprinklers do work. Event stuff, we did the 4th of July with the city up at the Posse grounds. It was a decent crowd, not like the priors because the pocket fire was going on. So we did get to watch the air show fly over us all day long, which is cool. There were quite a few people there, and surprisingly, a lot of them were local and not just visitors. So that was good. And then we did a pub ed event out of Station 6 this time because we want to spread the love instead of everyone coming to Station 1. So Station 6 got to do this one. That was I believe, the charter school back behind us. And they took them out there. Yeah. Crews did a great job. Thank you to the crews for putting on some pub ed stuff. We had our props out there with the fire extinguishers and stuff and let them squirt water off the water tender and all that good stuff. That was good. And upcoming stuff. So I reached out to the city who they have a department that deals with the short-term rentals. I did not realize that they have 2 people into that business now. Sedona has in what they call the encapsulating area of Sedona, which is the village and like the loop roads, combination of about 2,000 to 2,400 short-term rentals, and 20% of the population is a short-term rental. They have people that just manage that. So I did get some information from her and found out that next month on the 8th and the 10th, they're doing a presentation to the managers of short-term rentals. So I asked her if I could force my way into that, and she agreed to let me have 5 minutes. It was already booked up and they're on a schedule. I'll take 5 minutes. So I am going to go there on both days and discuss smoke alarm issues that we're having, access issues, and your landscape issues. We'll go from there. I'll throw in as much as I can in 5 minutes. So next month, hopefully I'll have a better report for that.
Wanted to tap into that. We've had 2 instances in the past month where we, with the assistance of the police department, we've had to force entry into a couple STRs because the posted contact information for maintenance or emergencies do not respond to us. And in one instance, it was a short-term rental that was a multifamily dwelling. So when we've got smoke alarms going off in an unoccupied structure, adjacent to an occupied structure, we can't just say, oh, the smoke alarms are going off. We have to investigate. So we've had to force entry. And it's tough because these companies are hiring these maintenance folks and they're not responsive. And so we have to do our job. So this is kind of boiling up as some new concerns we're starting to see in town. And so we're working on some, hopefully starting with this with Kirk, and we're going to work on some conversations with the city to figure out what we can do, to mitigate some of this.
And on that note too, we also had an access issue where a subdivision was grown over so bad, the engine had to stop in the ambo, and then they had to walk in the rest of the way. They didn't get by the growth. So I reached out to the city, found out, oh, it's private roads, private subdivision. So I'm dealing with that. I got a plan, but we'll see how that works out. Usually they're pretty perceptive when I can get a hold of them, and I kind of give them here's what can happen later on down the road without telling you shall. And we'll see on that.
Question number one.
Yeah.
Chief, were there any inquiries in respect to Firewise from any owner operators, corporate entities or otherwise that run, own, manage short-term rentals within our?
No, they're not. They're all private residents.
Thank you, sir.
So my plan is I'm working on a letter right now to where the city has email addresses and phone numbers to every short term that's registered. So my plan is to generate a letter and just flood email it out. I also found out the city sends out letters and correspondence to short-term rentals through their program. So I want to pony into that and let's put a message in there. So get the word out. That's best I can do is try to get out there and make them understand and educate, because the owner of the rental isn't living here. They're somewhere else. They might not be in this country. And they just got the management company. So I got to get the management company to get on board. All that. So
In our neighborhood, the UPS and FedEx trucks keep the roads clear of vegetation.
so the garbage trucks, they work great. You see the garbage truck drive by and they use the stuff hanging, branches hanging on the end of it.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so Kirk,
Yes.
Chief, is the city gives you access to their email list, or?
Yes, I have access to that email
That's
list.
very good. Great.
And
It's public record.
I'm kind of jumping ahead for next month, but I met with Boca and the Village of Oak Creek the other day about the same issues. And they called and asked me to come out and talk to them about safety issues, and evidently they've got short-term rentals now that can come in. I believe there was some lawsuit that was lost, and now we're gonna have them. So how do we make this good and right? So same discussion I've had me with them, the city, and the issues I just brought up, I brought to them. And they're gonna bring me, when they have their list of rentals and stuff, they're gonna share that with me also, so. And try and wrangle all this in.
It's a not a Sedona issue. It's a statewide issue, and we're so tightly bound by the state legislatures. But this is Ed on his soapbox. I don't think they fully appreciate that this isn't Marge buying her second home and floating the mortgage for a couple more years till she can retire. These are hoteliers. They're corporate. These are corporate entities buying up 10, 20 STRs, and that we have very clear laws and restrictions on what a hotel can and cannot do in town, and fines and things that we can do to manage issues at commercial buildings. But these commercial residential properties, we have no bandwidth to do anything, and it's tough.
Chief, it's like I've had conversations with several constituents that what's the big deal? And they always understand the dollar sign. And I said, the moment our risk symbol shifts upward, and I explained the notion of risk. I said, you as an individual carry risk with the insurer. Your home does, your car, the complete package, the neighborhood, the zone, and the zip code. And I said, what happens is you're going to pay more on insurance, and it affects everything. It is very much a gentle yet broad and impactful ripple. So, while, Airbnb, or correction, as I should say, but while whatever corporate entity, absorbs that as just running amortization, we have a lot of folks in this community on fixed income.
Oh, yeah.
And this really derails their ability to feed themselves or move from A to B, utility items that human beings we have to do because we're a wheeled society. I really appreciate your efforts on that, sir. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was it.
Got anything uplifting? Okay, no, we'll move on.
I know, I was gonna say, are you even busy?
I'll think of it. Thanks, neighbor.
Hey,
It was.
So Christy did a great job on this slide. Makes it like, the words won't be professional, but the slide looks professional. Thank you once again. See, we had our third paramedic student pass this past week. They actually launched today is their first day of their mentorship program as a new paramedic. So that's really cool. 3 more started in class this week and next. 2 this week, 1 next week. So the paramedic machine is moving. We need them.
I want to butt in. And so our standard for a decade was we pump out 2 a year and we're good. As we've talked about before, Buzz has done a great job of looking at staffing and like, we need to bump it to 3 to keep up with our retirements. And so, we're not getting a ton of medics coming in the door, tests. So it has to be, and there's a lot of benefit to breeding them in-house too. So,
well, and in addition, I mean, we have an aging population. in
yes.
Sedona, and large quantity of emergency calls where paramedics are needed.
It's the business,
Yeah.
whether the soot covered firefighter wants to admit that or not. 80% of what we do
Damn.
are problem solving, but mostly EMS problem solving. So yeah, so that's
Chief, what is that mentorship program? How long does it last?
it depends on the person
Sure.
and how they're doing with their mentor. It's really it's pretty neat and formally written, informally carried out, because what they do is they get out of school and they go back to the crew they were on typically. So they already have a rapport. They already know they've been studying with this person. And then they do supervised shifts and they do a call log of different types of shifts, taking the lead role as opposed to being, a partner, if you will, or a backseat person, or just the driver sort of gurney grunt person. And then that person and their mentor and their captain discuss their calls. The captain, if needed, but it can go anywhere from 10 shifts to 30 shifts. Depends on, obviously, the goal is the outcome, right? Have them ready. It's not to mastery, because you never master this business, especially in the medical field. It's always new and evolving. But it's until their partner and their captain and our medical director, we turn all that into them, feels that they're able to act on their own. There's more to it if you'd like to see it, but that's the gist of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And we're forever formalizing that, and like to toot Sedona's horn a little bit, we kind of lead the way in the rest of the Verde Valley defining some of those processes. Sometimes we go to these regional meetings and there is no process, and I'll go, what do we do here? And they'll go figure that out. And so a few of us get together and then we give it back to them and go, here's how we're doing it now. So that part is pretty neat because we can have a higher standard instead of accepting one that's been around for 20, 25 years. So it's pretty neat. The other thing with the number of medics that Chief Missoula spoke to, with some of these programs now, we can actually overlap a little bit across 2 budget years to maximize it. So the 3 that just graduated, they were paid for out of last year's budget. These, we could already have them testing for placement within the program in last year because there's no cost associated, and then you pay the tuition this year. So it's really tightening it up. And some of those programs, especially the college-based ones, they pump them out. They're doing them all the time because there's such a high need. We're very fortunate to have people that want to go. I think we did hire one, or on our prospective hiring list, there was
Made an offer for one.
one. Thank you.
Yes.
We get in trouble if they always say it. That'd be really great. And typically in our organization, paramedics promote to the next position often. So like a lot of ambulance paramedics, if you will, or folks on the fire engine, they're the ones that promote a lot of times. Doesn't mean we prohibit EMTs, but and so you end up losing them and that capability and functionality on the actual ambulance that transports. So we have to continuously feed that machine from the bottom. So they usually finish out on top as three chiefs sitting right here. Even Scott was a medic. Let's see. Our ambulance will finally be in Washington for the remount next week. So that's really cool. As far as fleet things go, we're moving along with a Verizon program that helps us to track our apparatus, not just for the safety of the crews and things like that, but also it plugs into it reads the computer, if you will, and can give diagnostics in real time to Mike. We can look at all that through a dashboard. Yes.
Does the ambulance get to Washington?
Well,
Why do you ask?
we
Volunteer.
last Chief Mazulis might help on this one. The last several times we've brought one, it's actually cheaper for us to drive it there. than to like low boy it. The other thing, yes,
It's not impossible. It's very difficult to ship stuff.
and this one, a remount's a little different because there are some last minute, hey, come look at this kind of stuff while they're dismounting it, if you will.
They're gonna find issues that are hiding from plain sight.
Yeah, so this time, back to your to actually answer, I will be driving it with Reese, our mechanic. They'll do two things. One is I'm on salary and sending a firefighter on overtime up there to then kind of wait around while they take the box off. I can work from there, a lot of things I'm doing. And Reese gets to see the factory and tour that and see how that operation works. So
That's huge.
it's a little bit like two-pronged, if you will. And it really is saving some money and logistic headache.
Well, that's free training.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic to see how they put them together. So Reese will have a chance. We both will. I think it's neat too. This time we're gonna wait while they take it off, and then we're gonna drive the old chassis back. Because they'll give us $500 for that old chassis, the factory will. Last time we made $7,500 when we brought it back and sold it through auction. So we're gonna try to.
The 2018, 2017.
Oh, boy.
Well, we talked
Chief
about,
Mazulis asked me today, and I could look it up. I'll let you know when we're done. It's
one
the
more question.
oldest non-remounted, or it's been remounted once. I want to say 16.
It's gotta be 16 then.
I want to say 6. There's two sister vehicles that are 16s.
is it a F550, F600 or?
Yeah,
450?
450, four-wheel drive, Ford.
You can do like,
Holding up pretty well.
Much better than the
The 350.
one before that, whatever that bank of or period of years where everything, the regen stuff wasn't nothing was.
you can put names on them like, NYPD, I mean, FD does,
Well, like nicknames?
Yeah.
Well,
on the unit.
we'll solicit board input on nicknames and then I'll give them to the chief.
It'll be fun.
Let's see what happens.
So in other words, you want us to rename them like the Jeep companies, like Black Betty and Betty White and stuff for their rear unit. Novel, okay.
World War II.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Buzz.
I'll finish up with a couple more things. I'd like the record to reflect, I didn't start that. Usually it's me. This one just went off the rails. Back to touch real quick on what Chief Mazulis talked about with this resilience training that we did. That is going to parlay into a couple other pretty neat things that we're going to do. One is a partners academy or a partners night. We're going to try to line it up with the new hire orientation. What that allows is new firefighters, steal Jordan's thunder, but it could be regional that we're going to partner with during this. They can bring their significant others and really learn about being married to the fire department or being partnered in a new way to the fire department. Like they didn't sign up, their loved one did. And so to work through some of those things, including how to be resilient, how to be supportive on both ends. So that's kind of a cool thing that we're working on with the guy that taught that class. He was that good. So we're going to exploit him in a couple other areas. The other one is something that Kiona and I have been wanting to do for a while, and Chief Mazulis, sort of about how to retire well. Hey, this is your new life. This is an identity type of career. And you go from shift work and calling yourself a firefighter to Joe Blow. So are you ready for that? Is your family ready for that? There'll be a financial component. The hope isn't to do it a year before you retire, but ahead of time. Financial component, mental wellness component, likely even a how to do healthcare after here
That's awesome.
component. And we're gonna draw upon certain retirees and their experience, have a roundtable with their loved ones even. So we're kind of gaming that out. And this guy, Joe Spector, that did 15 sessions for us at resilience training, he's gonna help design that. He's super passionate and he was already giving me ideas and, by the time we were done talking. So those are some really, really cool things I think that'll help our membership retire well and work for the customers here even better and work well with others. So, a couple more things. Went to the Arizona Ambulance Association meetings.
Ooh.
Last week or 2 weeks, I don't remember, which is among other things, they discussed how many of the 2030 legislative bills proposed in the Arizona State Legislature this year, and that's how many there were, actually will impact us specifically in the ambulance world, but also in the broader fire service public safety. There aren't too many that are going to derail us. I mean, now they're all, heck, 500 of them got vetoed already, I think, but not many major changes to our ambulance business, if you will, in this session, but it kind of gives you an idea of where they're going to poke at next time, like many of these things do. I mean, just the number, if 2,000 bills go out, I imagine those are well-intended people, and I imagine zero read all 2,000. So sometimes they create noise and hope something sticks, something sneaks through, things like that. The ones this year were really, some even improved service in different rural areas and actually helped protect firefighters and different things. So we did well, and saw President Rodriguez here. So they did a really good job at the PFFA and AFTA and things like that too. A couple things still on our radar that we're working on though, that we discussed at length at those meetings, were the DEA requirements. I know I've talked about it for the 4 or 5 months that we've known, but how to navigate being your own, having a DEA license as a fire department, and how to partner well with a hospital that might not want to be in the drug business with you anymore. So we're navigating some of that stuff. They have not explicitly said that, but many people are getting an independent medical director to help navigate those things. So
Well, this
a lot of work on that, which seems to not go many places, but we're figuring out what our peers are doing. So
Well, the up in the air is there's a huge financial component to this because on one hand, it's different requirements to secure your medicine, and there's some companies making good money off these specialty safes and access. And then the other piece is for at least 25 years, we've had a menu system with NAH and we pay a flat fee. And it's a buffet for medicine, and it's a very affordable flat fee. And if that relationship changes, that means we're going to now have to have a DEA license and purchase narcotics and store them, and there'll be expiries and all these things. And our capacity to get bulk deals on narcotics and things is much different than a large hospital system. So there could be a huge financial component for us.
Are we getting, sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering, I gather we're being required to have our own license? Or is that, we're thinking ahead to we might be?
no, they have, this is the tricky part.
Yeah.
I went to these meetings and they said, if you choose ... to get these things and follow and comply. The way I read it in many of the meetings before that said, here's what you are doing now. You will do this. I mean, it's federal law. So the interpretation, like all things in the CFR, they write a bill that's 3 pages long. Then they write 500 pages in the first iteration of how to do that. It's incomplete. It took them, when they started writing the bill, it was 10 years till they came out with the guidance for the CFR for us. So it's huge. And figuring out which part applies to us, we work with a law, but in general, just their guidance. It's called PWW, EMS billing law and things like that. even their interpretation still leaves this gray area. We will likely do it because it says so. Another interesting point was when that federal law came out, Arizona did not allow you, it barred you from getting a DEA license. So the state had to fast track language to change the existing bill on how paramedics could operate within Arizona, so that then you get to sign up for the DEA license. So there's a process for Arizona to say, yeah, you can. And you turn that into the feds and you sign up that way. So we're figuring it out. A neat part about this, and here's your positive part. It's really facilitated some great discussions regionally and with our partners like Verde Valley Fire, Copper Canyon, and with the hospital too. We definitely have to rely on their guidance, but those relationships are getting stronger and we're learning from each other and how to do it well, so that hopefully we can all do it in a similar way instead of all of us trying to reinvent something. We're learning from each other right now.
So are you getting the sense that the NIH wants to pull out of the arrangement that we have with them?
There are other folks, some of my peers feel that. I haven't experienced that, and I'm not hedging my bet at all. The meetings I went to, I'm like, I think they don't know either which way they're going to go. Some people are jumping before they find out that they might pull the plug on it. I haven't seen that. I've asked pointedly, and no one has said that they're changing the game on us.
Good.
Yeah, and there are mixed agendas and
Signals.
we all have our different priorities too. Our priority is different than an entire hospital system. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, sure.
Anything else?
No, I think that's plenty. There's so much more. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Christy, thank you for the new slide. I like to tag on with what Chief Lukowski said. It looks great. I appreciate it. A lot better than I could do for sure. So, a couple things that were already mentioned. Yes, the new hire academy starting October 19th. So we'll be starting our 3-week orientation academy for the 4 new hires right now. And I believe Christy sent out the email for the potluck. So thank you for that. So we'll plan on doing that day 1 again. I think that's been a great addition to the orientation, having you folks be able to meet the new SFD employees and them getting to meet you. So when you show up at the station, they'll know who you are. So look forward to that as well. Chief Lukowski talked on it, trying to do the Partners Academy towards the end of that. He already talked about that. One thing I'd like to mention when we were talking about it, it's a unique opportunity, not only for those new firefighters to come in with their spouses and the spouses to learn about it, but it gives those younger spouses that haven't experienced this life an opportunity to find a mentor themselves. And some of those older spouses that have been here 20, 25, 30 years with their spouse working at the agency. So kind of that we talk about in-house mentorship with our firefighters, but a lot of times we forget about those spouses. So it's a unique opportunity for them to find their own mentor. They have questions like, hey, he's going on a deployment or she's going on a deployment. What does that mean? Well, they're going to be gone for 14, 16, 18 days. You know, well, how do you handle this? So thanks to Chief Lukowski for having the foresight to put that together and hopefully coincide it with the new hire academy. I think that's going to be great. Along with that new hire academy, I was given direction from Chief Mazulis, who had talked to Chief Johnson at Verde Valley, Copper Canyon, and Chief Sontman at Cottonwood Fire about possibly trying to regionalize our training academy. So I had a meeting last week with their training representatives, see how they do their new hire, how everything works. And it's vastly different in some cases of how we do it, just because of some of the things we're able to do that they're not able to do right now. But there was a lot of support in the room for it, which I haven't seen in 25 years in the Verde Valley. We've always talked about coming together and training together and, you know, running new hire academies together, and it's just never happened. So for me, this was the first time in 25, 26 years that I've ever seen that take place. And it was a 4-hour long meeting.
This is everyone cooperating and
Collaborative effort,
taking
yes.
part of it.
So if Cottonwood is hiring 3, Verde's hiring 4, Copper Canyon's hiring 3, Jerome just hired 3, we're hiring 4, collaborating together and putting together one academy for all of them with representatives from each agency there for agency specific hose loads or equipment that we use that other agencies don't use. We'll have our trainers there. I'm not sure it's gonna be possible to do the full 3-week integration this go round, because we're starting in October, and that was like one of our non-negotiables, is say we're starting in October. Offers of employment have already been made. That's our proposed starting date. We've got things locked in, facilities locked in, trainers locked in. But I think there's gonna be an opportunity for some integration throughout that 3 weeks with each of those different agencies at some point, whether it's Wildland Day or Technical Rescue Day or Driver's Training Day or Suppression Day, Live Fire Day, with anticipation of eventually a year or two down the road that we come together and we do 1 3-week academy for everybody, which is super exciting for me. It gives our younger firefighters and even some of our RTOs, the recruit training officers, an opportunity to integrate with those other agencies and see what they're doing, what equipment they're using, what hose pulls they're using. It makes more well-rounded firefighters when we respond to mutual or auto aid down in Cottonwood or Verde Valley or Copper Canyon. We're familiar with their equipment and their people, right? So we send our new guys out with a water tender after they've had that training to Copper Canyon. They don't know anybody. This will be an opportunity for them to become not only familiar with their apparatus, but their personnel. So it was a great meeting. I'm going to schedule another one here probably next week or in 2 weeks and start grabbing some of that low hanging fruit, some of those days that we can integrate those different organizations and our recruits together during this 3-week process. Probably Wildland's going to be one of them because they don't do that during their 3-week orientation. We do. So more to come on that, what days will be available, but I see an opportunity to grab some of those days and collaborate together and make that. So pretty exciting. Fire school, I mentioned last board meetings coming up at the beginning of September. We've got a lot of hungry individuals that are looking at promoting and looking at leadership classes and opportunities and engineer classes that'll be attending. I'm excited to see what they bring back. It's always a good opportunity for inexpensive training in state for those individuals. Another really exciting thing, and Chief Mazulis had given me direction last year, the VAC, so the Verde Academy for Construction and Technical Education.
Valley Academy for career and technical education.
Yeah, house close. It was their Fire 1 and 2 class for the high school program. So they actually in high school can go through a 2-semester course and come out with their Fire 1 and 2 as soon as they reach 18 years of age. Chief Mazulis really wanted to get Sedona Fire integrated into that somehow because it's always Copper Canyon, Verde Valley, and Cottonwood Fire. And to my knowledge, we've never had, well, Tarver did one year, I guess. So one individual a few years back helped instruct, but this year we have one of our firefighters who's also one of our fire cadre trainers that helps with our orientation, who will be teaching down there. So Firefighter Vargas, his first training day is actually tomorrow with them, will be one of the lead instructors for that program.
I want to add some clarity to that for the public and the board. VACT is a career and technical education campus, not affiliated, but partners with Sedona Fire. What they've done is structured their Fire 1 and 2 to employ a firefighter from Copper Canyon, Verde Valley, or Cottonwood, and then now Sedona Fire. This is something those individuals choose to do on their off days as a secondary job. There's no monetization for Sedona Fire, no cost to Sedona Fire. And what they do is a lot of the folks that instruct for VACT will coordinate what shift they're on with the other instructors and maybe move shifts within their organization so that one of them's always available on their off days to teach. So we're not sending an individual down on SFD time to teach. It's a second job for him. And I call it a job, but for him, it's a passion. He really enjoys it. And I'm super excited we have somebody on the inside, if you will.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that. So yeah, it's not SFD, it's sponsored, but not compensated. So he's doing it on his off days, his 4 days off. He's employed by them. But it's a great opportunity for Sedona Fire to get our shirt down there and maybe, recruit some of those individuals for our next testing process.
I prefer steel.
Yeah.
But we haven't had that in for a few years where the other agencies see those kids every day. These kids are wanting to become firefighters down the road. And we haven't had that Sedona Fire in front of them for a few years. So we will this year. So really excited about that. He's excited about it. And I think definitely the right individual for it. C-Shift Battalion live fire training's been set. So we'll be doing that in December. As I've explained in the past, we're on a 3-year rotation for an entire battalion to go down there and do their live fire training to meet those requirements. So it's C-Shift's term this year. So that's planned and locked in. Chief Mazulis mentioned it, the non-ops support employees went through the defensive driver training course. A lot of times in the past, we've forgotten them when it comes to driver's training, although they're on the road quite often, probably more than most of our stations. So it's important to recognize that and provide that education to try to mitigate issues that should arise. The ops drivers trainings, planning's in process. I talked to one of the lead instructors today. So the classroom portion will be in November with the hands-on portion in December. And already reached out to the airport. It's been a great partner with us on providing this training ground. So that'll be occurring. Wellness committee's ongoing with their monthly workouts. We're working on trying to get a district-wide 2-month wellness competition going. We should know in the next week or two whether that's going to happen, but that's pretty exciting with some unique opportunities for healthy competitive challenge with a pretty cool reward, if you will. The individuals aren't going to get rewarded, but I won't give it all away yet. Probably talk next meeting once I get it locked in, but it's exciting and hopefully it happens.
So Chief Baker, if,
Yes, ma'am.
what would the criteria be in terms of?
Corey wants to battle.
Okay. We can get the board in too.
Yeah.
So
I
I'll
get
go,
an
I'll go ahead and spill the beans because I think it's going to happen. So what we're going to try to do, the wellness committee every month does like a crew-based workout. So get on as a crew and see how many calories your crew can get on an assault bike. And then we post the results against all the other crews. And then there's last month had some weightlifting into it. Not everybody's into weightlifting. So this time I came up with the idea, passed it through the wellness committee, and it seems like there's some support. Is we're going to start October 1st if it works out. We're going to do a 2-month like step challenge. So how many steps you can get in a day. And you don't have to record it every day, but once a week, record your steps for that week. And we'll have still shift. The chiefs will have a group, support and admin will have a group. The governing board wants to get on it. You can have a group.
Yeah.
And so we'll tally the steps for that 2 months. So the winning group, if you will, after 2 months, and I've reached out to charity and there's some support there. You'll be awarded a monetary donation, which your group then decides what charitable organization within the Sedona Fire District you want to name it towards and donate towards. So the charity will front the money, and then whoever group wins names the charity. They come up with a consensus, and it's like, all right, well, the Humane Society or the Alzheimer's, whoever it is, and then donate to that fund. So I thought it was pretty unique. It's cool. It gives back to the community, and it gets everybody up and moving, and healthy competition is always good.
So is the
So-
board in?
What do you say?
So I guess we are.
So I talked with Matt Spinelli. We'll do the same as we have. There'll be a QR code and you'll have a QR code saved. You can lock it in and then register your steps, and then your individual number will be tied to your group. So and it'll tally them up for the 2 months. So that's the plan. I think it's going to happen. Again, we'll know more probably in the next week, but that's the idea.
We get to
Keep us
sleep. How
informed.
about
Okay.
sleep?
I will.
How about good sleep?
The ops guys might be out on that.
Yeah.
2 more things really quick. Talking about charity, I met last week with some of the reps from the other agencies as well. Many of you know I was real passionate about the charity basketball game, police versus fire, for years. Last time I played, I told them I wasn't playing again, but I'd help them set it up. They reached out to me last month. The game's been set. So October 24th at the Mingus Union High School at 6 p.m. So October 24th, Mingus Union High School at 6 p.m. It's going to be police versus fire charity basketball game again. I will not be playing. I will be present, but they're already working on raffle prizes. I'm not sure who the charity is that they'll be donating the proceeds to yet this year. I'm letting them decide that. I just told them I'd help them with the logistics and how I've set it up in the past and then turn it over. So excited about that. And then one more thing, BC Miranda and I, Chief Mazulis kind of touched on it. We were able to meet up with the BEAR assessment team, the Burn Area Emergency Response Team. So it's a number of organizations, ADEQ, Forest Service, Yavapai County, Coconino County, Sedona Fire was present. And we actually took a tour starting at West Fork of all the areas where there may be an anticipated impact from floods. So we got to go up into West Fork and see after the big event they had the beginning of July, the debris washed down the state of the creek. And then we toured all the way down to Dry Creek Road where it blew across the bridge down there. And we were able, it was cool. We were able to actually offer some insight on areas of concern we had from the Sedona Fire District. And they were going to go out and assess those areas and it was a really unique opportunity I hadn't been able to be a part of yet. Working with those different agencies and hearing their concerns and their thoughts and what may or may not happen if we get a significant rain event again. So that was a neat opportunity to take part of. So that's all I have. Questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, great. Thank you. Well, then back to you, Chief Missoula.
All right, I'm gonna dive right into capital project updates, and I touched on some of the stuff, but Station 4 project is cruising right along. I won't even describe them as hiccups, but minor things, just learning moments with APS and things, getting some stuff done, but all's good. You have a BAC in front of you tonight to keep up with momentum. As stated, Station 5's move along with the 299 steady. And slow and steady wins the race. And so that's what we're focusing on. I'm excited to report our radio project. All of the consoles have been received and we've got them on site. The last of the batteries came in and then we're waiting until mid-September for the rectifiers. And please don't ask me what any of this stuff does. But I know it's part of the system. Yeah, it rectifies. Yeah. And so, so the bottom line is the rectifiers have to be installed in conjunction with the batteries or else it doesn't work out. And so all of our radio sites are triple redundant power supplies. It's APS power from the grid, and then it's generator backup power, and then there's the batteries, and that's standardized for the industry. So once we receive the rectifiers, those and the battery banks will get installed. And I didn't fully appreciate it. I don't know if the board has a visual of these batteries, but there's 3 pallets of them. Each battery weighs 70 pounds and each site takes a dozen batteries. So because I was like, oh, install the batteries. What takes so long? You know, I've changed plenty of batteries, but it's a process. So once that is done, then all of the ACs and all of the triple redundancy for all of our sites will be installed. And then we'll start mapping the radio tower installs. And so that's going to be over through the fall. And I'll be wrapping up the updates with that project.
And who installs them?
It's going to be a mixed, it'll be some of it will be our in-house folks. Some of it to expedite it will be contract work. And it has to do with warranty and deliverability. And we had planned this all along to have some, I call them SWAT teams, come in that we worked with Zetron, the manufacturer, on. And, them transporting $100,000 towers to the remote sites, using their folks. There's some securities and warranty things that go along with that. And we knew from the start with our multiple sites, this isn't a week by week, oh, go install this one and then move on, and go install this one and move on. Most of these rooms are very small. So the existing critical radio infrastructure we currently have will be unbolted from the floor, and they're going to basically slide those out of the way, bring the new one in, and then you got to switch the wires over and then pull the old stuff out. And then all that'll be happening throughout district. Probably going to end up doing it in 2 phases, our primary and then our secondary. There'll probably be 4 or 5 sites that are secondary, but the bulk of it will get completed all at once. And we're just buttoning up some frequencies and some tower issues, meaning just some contract stuff and some, like the airport towers and FCC licensing deal in conjunction with FAA authorizations. And so there's a lot of little moving parts. The radio sites at our stations are a no-brainer. I'm not discounting the difficulty of the installation, but we own them, they're on site, we can do that. But some of our towers, there's things we have to do with having cranes near an airport and things like that that we're working on. So that one's moving along. Closed on the property adjacent to Station 1. So that's now in our hands. Very carefully, artfully, Scott discussed the purchase with our friends over at the Sundowner, and there's no bad blood.
I was gonna ask.
No, they're okay with us. No, they're wonderful people. And just as a refresher, we have a need for parking here for larger events, and that's just the parking. That's the current need for it. As we dive into district needs in the next year and a half, in my mind, this is just Ed or Rick right now. It's a worst case scenario spot for a new shop. It's not ideal, but it would add value. It's a last case scenario, or maybe with changes to the DEA or anything else, maybe we improve the capacity for storage here, being more central, and have a central warehousing so we can do some bulk purchasing with our other agencies and see some reduction in costs. And, as it relates to the drug problem, right now we have an ambulance go to the hospital in Cottonwood and use a lot of narcotics or medicines to treat the patient. They become whole again before they leave the hospital, and they're in service. If we lose that, we're going to have some pretty high-tech storage for this stuff. So at 3 a.m. after the cardiac arrest, they'd come back on a dead leg to Sedona unavailable, but at least we'd have a more centralized space to come and make their ambulance ride again. So we're leaving that space open for opportunity for the district because we don't know what's coming down the pipe. But I appreciate the board's authorizing the purchase of that land because it gives us some opportunities we didn't have. And so that is done. And as stated, the parking lot in Uptown, we're waiting on final appraisal to get a fresh one, and then we will go to auction. And that's a lot of our big capital stuff going on right now. Purchases over, I wrote it on. Talking to myself again. Purchases, orders over 10,000 for the month was some landscape work at Station 6 to remove a lot of the overgrown non-firewise things and to fix some ground cover that was damaged by erosion and some digging to fix grinder pumps and everything else. And I think they're pulling out a couple trees to mitigate the risk to the grinder pump. We have beautiful trees planted adjacent to our septic system there where it goes into, it's an old station. It's 10 years now. So it goes into a vault that has a grinder pump that, pushes the sewage out. Well, these beautiful trees found the water. And so we're going to stop the every few year multi-$1,000 repair of that vault by removing some trees and things. And so, thank you, Scott, for that. And we didn't Station 4 new, we're leaning heavy on the landscape architect to do minimalist landscape. We didn't do that with Station 6. And I just mentioned the grinder pump. In addition to that, regularly it has been a Javelina fast food restaurant for the crews on the back porch. And then beyond that, we've had some personal vehicles damaged because it's also a haven for pack rats with all the overgrown vegetation. And so to mitigate damage to the station or our employees' personal vehicles, the decision was made, thanks to Scott, to just fix it. And it's in the country, so stuff happens. But we shouldn't purposefully and knowingly invite javelina and deer up to our property. Yeah, it's not working out. And then the other purchase order over 10,000 was our hose testing company, and they come through and test every foot of hose that we own. And it's a huge process, and so that was completed. But with that, Buzz kind of touched on it, no legislative updates, but I do want to park, the session's over, but I do want to park that thankfully we're gearing up for a primary election or a general election, and that will bring new blood, I'm sure, to many different levels of government across the state. And of the 20-something hundred bills this year, a lot of them were recycles of the past few years, and they just keep fine tuning the language. So I think we're in for another banner year. Yeah. And so, but with that, three things to report. I've got a meeting that popped up this week with the Attorney General's office and a group of fire chiefs, and we're gonna look at not necessarily class action, but action against the fire truck manufacturers and as a representative of the district. And so again, this meeting popped up today with apologies for last minute, but I will know more soon.
Antitrust.
Antitrust, that's the term.
Great.
Yeah.
So that
and-
there's more than one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so we're doing that. In addition to that, the Speaker of the House just stood up an ad hoc committee with Mary Dalton, the chief from Timber Mesa, and another individual that will come to my mind. Bottom line is they're going to evaluate the status of fire district funding in this state. They're actually giving some attention to it. And the PFFA is also working on some fire district stuff, and then AFTA has hired a consultant to do a financial needs assessment. Is that the best way to put it? Of Arizona Fire District, economic study of Arizona Fire District. So why that's important to us is those are multiple angles that we are, in my mind, preparing for this legislative session with valuable insight and real data, so that when some of these bills are introduced, we're ready and loaded for this session. So I'll keep you guys updated on all those things. The economic report is expected in October. And then this ad hoc, I don't know what it'll generate, but they're meeting soon. And then I'll report out to you folks what I find out on Thursday when I have this, I think it's tomorrow, Thursday, this fire truck meeting. But that's legislative stuff. Do you have any fun legislative stuff you're hearing?
No,
Okay.
that's everything.
Yeah. So
All the things.
that's all the things, but end of report. Excuse me.
Thank you, chief. Appreciate it. All right, so we. Here, Mike.
Station or 5 through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, this is my report. Sorry. Forgot. I know I sent it out early, but yeah, we'll do this. Thank you for saving me. Has everybody seen this? Had an opportunity to see it? So sunrise at News Station 4, you're a bird flying through Uptown. There's Gabe hanging out on the front porch.
Good posture. It's back walking by.
And as much as much as they can do with a virtual reality walkthrough, 3D walkthrough, these colors are very closely representative of what we expect to see.
410, Jordan?
401.
I know, but it says they're 410.
Oh, yeah, they flipped it. Good, you would catch that. I've watched this 15 times. I never caught it. And this is a representation of our volunteer appreciation wall, a concept of what we're going to do with some photos. And Damie's been getting inundated with photos from old volunteers. It's kind of neat. So this will be the training room. Got the crew office, and you go into the living quarters. Fully ADA compliant because of that drop down sink right there. That was quite a process.
No stainless cabinetry or casework.
No, we started there, but
I
then
know.
when we visited stations, it was enough.
Nobody's gonna get any sleep.
And waterfall on these counters keeps the cabinets from getting beat up. It's a feature they've added for low cost. That
Yeah, this is training room 2.
yeah.
Quiet room. That's all the rooms.
Yeah, and this is the BC's area.
Lonely chairs.
We're gonna add a French drain for the battalion chief's tears. And then you get, yeah, and the crew quarters looks the same as the battalion. So you get into the bay. That vestibule, the reason you went through 2 doors is it's essentially an airlock to keep exhaust fumes from entering the living space. And they didn't go in all the utility rooms for good reason, but this sucker.
Oh, that's resort.
Right?
30 years ago. But yeah,
He's gonna win in the upcoming competition.
Yes.
and that ladder goes up to the communications equipment / it'll be a training feature. And then the back patio, or
It'll be a fire training.
it's designed, we'll be able to do some training on it, yes.
Okay.
As much as we could, try to dual function stuff.
Yep.
Like the training room, for example, is gonna have some blue card components for our incident command training, but also a community room. And centrally located, we're gonna bring crews in, but yeah, that's what we're working on. And then now it's nighttime. Took us all day to walk through that building.
Right.
That's,
No, it really that video hit me because it's looking at the drawings is neat, but it made it real, you know? And I'm like, okay, I can see it now. And Scott and I did an hour-long walkthrough. And after that, we asked if they would build a short video for the board. See, our walkthrough, I mean, we were looking at how the toilets were placed and shelves, and we went really deep. And it was a neat deal because you can fine tune stuff that you can't see in a 2-dimensional drawing. So it was pretty neat process. But yeah,
yeah.
they like that stuff. All right, now it's into Chief's report. Thank you, Christy.
Well, now it's into the chiefs requesting some money.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, I'll wait for you to say your thing.
Well, so what we have in front of us is for discussion and possible action, the possible approval to expend funds in an amount not to exceed $1,893,318 to core construction for building demolition, site work, professional services, and the purchase of long lead items as part of the Station Number 4 construction project. So I move that we make such an approval. Do I have a seconder?
A second.
Discussion. Chief, would you like to fill us in?
We have a motion and a second. I will give a brief explanation. Regardless of the outcome of this project, we're gonna demo the building because of the work we've done already. So those are costs borne by us. Specific to the long lead items, this approval tonight, while we don't have GMP for the project, which we will get in 2 weeks. Yeah, prices are staying at as described from the start of this process, or maybe a tiny bit lower, but there's no expectation it's gonna be higher. Approval of this item tonight will allow us to stay on task. We've got demo permits approved and it'll allow us to start demolition next month. And the block, which as you see is a bulk of this building, is 14 weeks out. And if we get it ordered now, it'll be available on site when the flat work's done and we're ready to start going up. And so not approving it doesn't shut down the project, but it'll delay the construction timeline. I was a bit taken back by what things constitute long lead, and block was one of them. Electrical panels was kind of surprising to me. And what were some of the other ones? Door frames, steel door frames. And it's the things that popped up that will stop this project. Yeah. So approval of this item will keep demo on schedule. And with the current excavating and site prep requirements, they've got to remove 3 feet of virgin dirt and bring in 3 feet of fill. You're experiencing this right now.
I'm experiencing it right now and it's pain.
Yeah, and so
It's necessary.
bottom line is this approval, while it doesn't approve the entirety of the project, it approves preparation of the site and those long lead items to be prepared for construction.
And this money's already been budgeted.
Yes.
Other comments or questions from the chief?
Yeah, but the long lead stuff, especially post-COVID, it's odd when we think of 2016 terms, but it's very sensible now. I mean, I'm having to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, question.
So,
And
Oh,
just
ahead.
one question, there was no bay doors in here?
I don't think they're long lead.
Okay,
I mean, I'll probably order those.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief? Not? All in favor of this motion to approve to expend the funds for the early purchase items? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Chief, you're authorized to proceed.
And as we will. Thank you.
And Chief, thank you for, the joint operation that will be going down in the old bank building.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think on the 20th, there's going to be a group of police volunteers that will canvass the neighborhood to basically let everybody know, don't freak out. And
Yeah.
then,
My apologies for not mentioning that. We were asked if Verde Regional SWAT and Sedona PD could do some training at the Jordan Road site. And then I think we might have some folks on site as available. But they're going to use a lot of simunition and things like that. And so they're going to make a good attempt to notify the adjacent public. And my hopes are that nobody freaks out. When we did our live fire training, our simulated fire training, we had a lot of concerned folks because Jordan's smoke makers did a really good job.
Just tell them the police are not moving and where the
Yeah.
fire's coming, everything will be okay.
Should be fine.
and the Bearcat's there for training only.
Lots of yellow tape.
Yes, okay. So do we have any board member updates and ideas for future meetings? Well, then the only thing that I'm going to add, I have asked the chief in his, this is not so much for future meetings, but in his monthly communications to us, to tell us about events that may be happening that we should know about, that may be out of CRR or whatever, in case we want to either participate or just need to know about them. I know I'm getting questions about things occasionally, and it's helpful to have the heads up to know what's happening.
And it was a good lesson for me because a lot of the stuff is just Kirk's the main culprit, and I mean that in a good way, but and Buzz to some degree, and Jordan and I, but there's a lot of stuff that just costs to doing business stuff, but as we get a more engaged public, there are more opportunities, like for the STR discussion with the city, and I'll advise you of any council meetings I may be attending that might have an SFD flavor to it, so that you're aware and things like that. So
Great. Thank you. Well, if there is nothing else, then what I would entertain is a motion to move into executive session.
I will move to, I make a motion to go into executive session for personal matters pursuant to ARS. Just gonna. ARS 38-43103A1 regarding the fire chief's evaluation.
And I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. We will go into executive session.